Hi and welcome back to the Bookstore Everywhere. So today we are going to be looking at my August wrap-up and going through all of the books that I read in August. I managed to read 14 books in August, which was the same amount that I read in July, so I sense a bit of a theme at the moment with how many books I've been reading per month. However, I'm slightly surprised I didn't read a few more because I did have a lot of holiday in August, but then I did also have some other stuff on, so I am happy with 14 books. I feel like that is a good amount to be able to consistently read in a month and I'm not going to complain. But yeah, let's get started with what I read in August. So the first one on this list is This Is Where It Ends by Marieke Nijkamp. This was the first book I read in the month and I ended up rating it 4 out of 5 stars. I did find it really interesting and it was quite a harrowing subject, but it was written really well. It didn't quite hit the 5-star mark for me, but I did still really enjoy it. And this one follows some high school students. I think it's 4 high school students from like their different points of view over the course of 54 minutes during a school shooting. So there are some people who are in the actual room itself who are involved in the shooting, and there are some people who are outside the school trying to get the people inside to safety. And this was just very harrowing, but a very important story. I'm very glad I read it. As I said, not quite a 5-star, but I did still really enjoy this, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I then read The Scorched Trials by James Dashner, and this is the second one in the Maze Runner series, which I've been trying to slowly finally make my way through. So I won't tell you what this one is about, although weirdly some of the scenes in here reminded me of some stuff that happened in Terminator 2, which was just really odd. But yeah, this one is the continuation from The Maze Runner, which is the first book, which follows Thomas as he is put into this maze in the middle of a maze, and they're surrounded by a maze that shuts every night, and he decides to become a runner, which is one of the people who goes out and explores the maze in the day while it is open to them and try and find a way out of the middle of the maze where they're trapped. And then the continuation is this one, and this one was okay. I did enjoy it, but it wasn't like as good as the first one. I found the first one actually surprisingly really good, and this one was a little bit of a letdown for me, so I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I then read The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joanne He, which was again a little bit of a disappointment in comparison to what I expected from this book. I thought I would absolutely love this and give it 5 stars. I'd heard really good things about it. I really liked the premise. And although I did really enjoy it, some of the stuff didn't quite meet my expectations, so I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars in the end. However, I did still really like it. I found the concept of this one really interesting. This is kind of like a climate change thriller, which I often find we don't really see a lot of climate change books in YA. So the only real author I can think of is Lauren James, who writes similar things to this, but I did find this really interesting. It's like an ecological, futuristic type thing, where there is 2 sisters. C is trapped on a like deserted island. She has no recollection of her life previously. She's been there for 3 years. She knows that there is somebody out there who she thinks is her sister, but basically all she has are these androids that she's created as friends. And then across the ocean from her we have Casey, who lives in an eco-city on the water. They live most of their life through this kind of headset thing, because that then means they have no carbon footprint. They don't produce anything because they're just living it in their headsets. So that is her sister Casey, who is trying to find out what happened to her missing sister. I did really enjoy this one. I definitely connected to C a lot more because her parts were written in first person, whereas Casey's were in third person, and it took me a while to realise that was why I wasn't connecting to Casey quite as much. So I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. So I then read Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston, and this was really good. This is a fantastical, magical, middle grade book that centres a black main character, a black female main character, which was just brilliant to see and read about, and I'm so glad that people will be able to see themselves reflected in this book, not only as a black main character but also as a female main character who was, I think, 12 years old, and her brother Quentin has gone missing and nobody will talk about it, and he goes missing because of this mysterious job that he has, but she doesn't really know what the job was or why he went missing. And then she gets invited to go to school at the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, and she is certain that there is a chance there to find her missing brother. And the story kind of goes on from there. There's some trials that she has to compete in against the other children. She obviously wants to make friends with them. So this was just really, really cool. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I then read Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, which I don't think I've read before, and this was the first time I read it. I read this one on audiobook, and I think that wasn't the best idea in some ways, because I definitely did drop out of this one sometimes and didn't focus on it as much as I should have been, which sometimes I just find with audiobooks, especially classics. Sometimes my attention just wanders elsewhere and I feel like I missed chunks of this book that I shouldn't have missed. But I did still enjoy it. I found this one was a very kind of classic adventure story. There are pirates in this one, but it's set from the point of view of a young kid called Jim Hawkins who stumbles across this treasure map and ends up going to try and find the treasure, hence Treasure Island, and he's on this ship with a lot of different characters. Felt like there was a lot of different characters in this book as well to keep track of, but it definitely had that real classic adventure feeling, and I did still really enjoy it. I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. So I then went on a little trip with my friend Courtney. You can see a vlog about that on my channel if you want to go and have a look. I will link that down below. And we did some buddy reads together while we were on this little holiday together, this reading break that we went on. One of those buddy reads was A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. We kind of loosely buddy read Show Us Who You Are, which is Elle's second book, a while ago, and we both really loved it, so we decided to pick this one up together. And we both absolutely love this book. This tells the story of 11-year-old Addie, who is autistic, and she finds out about these witch trials that happened in her village and decides to try and create a memoriam for them. And I just absolutely love this. This discusses how Addie's autism affects her a lot, which I really liked. Her older sister Keedy also has autism. Her older sister Keedy is also autistic, and I really liked having that kind of different perspective and having Addie have another autistic character to talk to about how her autism kind of affected her. And I really just feel like this is going to change so many kids' lives. It's going to teach so many kids so much and also make some kids feel so deeply related to this character of Addie. And I absolutely love this. Me and Courtney both loved it and we both rated it 5 stars. I then picked up Rise to the Sun by Leah Johnson while Courtney was reading other things as well, and I did really enjoy this as well, but it didn't quite reach 5 stars for me. I think the same as You Should See Me in a Crown, there was just something slightly missing and I rated it 4.5 stars. However, I did still really enjoy this, and this one follows Olivia and Tony, who both go to this kind of music festival, arts festival type thing. So they want this weekend before they kind of go their separate ways, and one of them is starting senior year and one of them is starting college, but obviously things don't always go to plan. This is full of drama and romance and just interesting friendship stuff and found family, and I did really like it. As I said, I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. And going from one sapphic book to another, I then read Afterlove by Tanya Byrne. Me and Courtney again sat down and read this one together, and we basically read the entire thing in one sitting. This is like a 400-page book almost, but we both absolutely loved this. This follows Ash and Poppy, who is her girlfriend, and Ash basically dies and becomes a Grim Reaper. And she's kind of this ghost-like figure who wants to then get back in touch with her girlfriend Poppy, but obviously there is this barrier between the living and the dead, so she can't get to her girlfriend until Poppy dies, but she desperately wants to kind of reconnect with her. So this is very interesting. I found this month, while reading stuff like this, has made me realise that contemporary with a kind of touch of magic and there's romance is really my genre and what I really love to read. I absolutely loved the romance in this, absolutely fell for it, felt like the writing was absolutely amazing and really portrayed their romance really well, and it kind of reminded me some of the things that me and my boyfriend did when we first got together, and it was just reminded me of that, which was really lovely to read about, and I just absolutely love this. It was so cleverly written. I had no idea where it was going, it ripped my heart out, I was crying at the end, I just loved it, I gave it 5 stars. And continuing on with that 5-star rating, we have The Sad Ghost Club by Lise Meddings. I rated so many books 4 and 5 stars in the month of August and I am not mad about it. I honestly don't rate that many books 5 stars anymore. So to have like 4 or 5 in this month is quite a lot that I rated 5 stars. So this was the next one that I read, which was a graphic novel, and I absolutely love this one. This follows our main character who is a ghost and they are feeling quite anxious and alone. Their parents go away and they're kind of just alone in the house. They don't really know how to deal with how they're feeling and they push themselves to go out to this party where they again feel quite lost and alone, but they actually meet somebody who's a little bit like them and hence there is this sad ghost club. This was really highly relatable and I honestly feel like this will be life-changing for so many people. That is the second time I've said this in this video. But honestly, I feel like this one will make a lot of people feel like they are not alone. There are other people out there that feel like them. And how can I not rate a book 5 stars when it might do that for somebody? I just can't. It was also really, really cute, really well illustrated. I love the story, I love the drawings. I love how sometimes the words were kind of in the corners of the panels, so you had to kind of look at the whole drawing and I just absolutely loved it. There are some beautiful pages in here. Another one that I rated 5 stars. I then read The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune, and I actually don't have a copy of this right now because I decided to give the copy that I read to my boyfriend because I loved it so much that I want him to read it as well. So I passed it on to him and I've ordered myself a new Waterstones paperback and the Illumicrate editions of these books, or this book and Under the Whispering Door, which is by the same author, because I absolutely love this book. I think this one is my favourite read of the year so far because I just couldn't help but falling for these characters. As I said, I think I found my very niche genre of some kind of contemporary magical realism with romance and found family aspects, and that is what this book gave me. So this follows Linus Baker, who is a care worker and works for the department in charge of magical youth, and he looks after children in orphanages. He goes and checks up on the orphanages and checks that these children are okay who are living in them. These orphanages do look after magical youth in particular, so children that have some kind of magical ability, and he oversees them as part of his job. And he goes to this very special orphanage on this island and it's just absolutely beautifully written. I love this island, I love the people that lived on it, the children, I love Linus himself. He was such a relatable character in some ways, and the romance in here was just also so beautiful. I did cry at the end of this one. It was really beautifully written as well, and I couldn't help but give it 5 stars as well, so it's another 5-star rating. And as I said, I think this one is my favourite book of the year so far. I can't wait to read more by TJ Klune because I just absolutely adored this one. I then read another Sapphic book, and that is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. And again, we have a 5-star rating. And again, we have a book that is contemporary with some kind of magical interest and a romance. This is my trope. This is, I found what I love about books. These are some of my favourite books for some reason. This one was really interesting. It follows 23-year-old August who moves to New York City. She's been moving around for a few years, kind of away from her mom, who she has a kind of taut relationship with. Her uncle went missing and her like years and years ago, and her mom basically is still trying to find her. So she moves into this apartment in New York City with some other interesting characters who I absolutely love and again have a very much found family feel. And she meets Jane on the subway girl, who something's not quite right about Jane. She's absolutely amazing, she's gorgeous, she's charming and mysterious. However, August never sees her off the subway, and for some reason she can't leave and is stuck in the 1970s and basically has been displaced in time. I had no idea how this was going to go. If I wasn't listening to the audiobook of the end of this when I was running, I would have probably been sobbing my heart out because I was trying hard not to be emotional when I was running. But I just loved this. I loved the time travel, I loved how unpredictable it was, I didn't know where it was going to go. The characters were amazing, the romance was beautiful, and the found family aspect was there as well, so I gave this one 5 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read in August was House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J Maas. This has been on my TBR for a while, but it's quite a daunting one. At just under 800 pages, it is 799 pages long, and this one actually didn't quite reach 5 stars for me. It was 4 stars, and is weirdly my least favourite Sarah J Maas book yet. Sorry, my battery ran out at the most annoying time. I thought I could maybe get that video done by the time it ran out, but no, I didn't. I was on the last book and it ran out, so if the shots change, that's fine. But anyway, I was saying, this is actually my least favourite Sarah J Maas book. I have read all of Throne of Glass and all of ACOTAR now, and I still really like this. Don't get me wrong, I still really liked it, but it was definitely the slowest one that I've read so far, I think. Having read A Court of Silver Flames earlier this year, and although that was super long as well, I absolutely flew through it and read it in a couple of days and didn't want to put it down. I think that's kind of what I wanted from this one as well, so when I didn't get that, it just felt even longer than it probably was, or would have felt otherwise. I think the other reason is this one is kind of set in, not modern day, but they have modern technology, whereas in all of the other books by Sarah J Maas, as far as I can remember, it is more kind of oldie worldy medieval type stuff, so they wouldn't have like TVs and phones and stuff, whereas they do in here, and I found that a weird adjustment to kind of get used to. But I did still really enjoy this. I love how Sarah J Maas puts kind of mental health issues into fantasy, which is something we don't see often, but she also does with Nesta in Silver Flames very much. And basically this one did showcase grief and mental health and feeling a lot of things very, very well, and as I said, that's something we don't see enough of in fantasy. I did still really, really like these characters, although there is so much sexual tension in this book. Whereas Silver Flames, I feel, had too much smut and not enough plot. This was kind of the other way round in some ways. There was so much world building and so much plot, especially towards the end, but there was so much sexual tension and not as many smutty scenes as I expected. However, I have heard the second book in this series is the smuttiest yet in Sarah J Maas's work, so we will see. I expect that everything in this book is building up to that one. So that one comes out in February next year. But yeah, I gave this one 4 out of 5 stars. So that is all the 14 books I read in August. As I said, I feel like I had a very, very good month with 4 and 5 star ratings. So many 5 star ratings. I probably have months where I don't rate anything 5 stars. So to have like 4 or 5 in here that I rated 5 stars is insane, but I'm not mad about it. I had a great reading month and I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff that I read. Especially having 3.5 stars being the lowest one I rated, I feel like that is really good as well, and I'm not mad, so that is very cool. So that is all of the books that I read in August. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please give it a like and drop a comment down below. Let me know what you read in August, what your favourite book was in August, and subscribe to see more videos like this. I'll see you next time. Bye!